I hadn't been making any content for y'all, well, because it's been freaking 19 degrees outside for going on, I don't know, 6 days in a row. So my pond is completely frozen across. I thought about driving the RC car across it, to be completely honest. You know, you can't run the boats, you might as well just throw the car on the frozen pond and run it or something. But got a house full of sick kids. They've all been to the doctor. Every single one of them's on antibiotics, so it's just been a mess here. I haven't really done much with the table, just kind of waiting for better weather. But I wanted to give you a little update and kind of walk you through what we're doing here on the Cheetah. So if you caught the last video, you know that we're stripping out the ESCs and we're going back with the baby Hydras, and we're going back with 2200 kV motors instead of the 2000s. We're also switching from SSS motors to Leopard motors. That one right there, the Leopard X2. These are the actual batteries that we're going to be running in this boat. Since these are 6S, these are the ones that really we need to know. So these are Roaring Top 4400 70C. Take them over here and you look, they fit perfect down in the sponson. We can just use some foam and we can wedge some foam in there, and that'll keep it in there, and just kind of wrap it all the way around with foam. Comes out nice and easy too. So 4400 fits. Let's jump over here to the 5300. 5300, and see how tight of a fit that is? It's literally touching on the bottom and it's literally touching on the top. Now other than that, it slides in and out pretty easy on this side. So we can put it in and we can take it out. Now if we come over here to this side, this is a little bit, see how it's like holding itself? Alright, so that went in fairly decent. Coming out a little bit of a hitch. Yeah, so it definitely needs to be opened up some. If we know that the 5300 is that tight, we know the 6200 is not going to go, right? So if we look at this from a perspective of width, we come over here and we could match this side, and we come over here and look. And it looks like the 63 or 6200 is maybe 1 or 2 mils wider. I'm basing it off this width, not this width, because this is pretty beefy compared to that. So you can tell the big difference there. It's like 10 mil. So this, in this configuration, does, if you cram it down in there like so, it will go. So that tells me it'll fit if I shave some of the carbon off. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back here after I remove the motors and get everything completely out. We're going to go around and we'll start somewhere here, because this has got a curve to it. You see the curve? So that curve is going to give strength. So we'll probably start right here at the bottom of the curve, and we'll take off 50%. We'll take off 50% of the lip to this point here. So we'll start at this point, we'll come here, we'll take halfway off to here, and we'll do the same to this side. And we'll stop here at the front, because there's no need to take any off the front here, because it's not going to do us any good. That'll give us a little bit more strength. So that's my plan. Now we figured out the batteries will fit if I do a little manipulating of the hull. This thing ought to fly, absolutely fly once we're done. It's been nose light, but I've never been able to get the batteries any further back than, say, this point here, or forward than this point here. Because of the way that the hatch is designed, the batteries have to sit in this spot. See, if we lay it on top, you can't slide them forward because it hits this right here. So yeah, now we're going to actually be able to get a little bit more nose percentage on it. That should help us from doing blowovers. But other than that, like, all the videos previously for the Cheetah have always ran great, besides the one that had this hiccup. But as far as like ride stance, she's been beautiful. But it's probably where I have the rear, struts, the rear drive set at. I don't really know where they're set at right now. I'd have to go back and do a measurement, but okie doke. All right, I'm gonna get to work. Just got finished doing the rudder. So we have the legitimate SpeedMaster extension on it now. And so this is a Series 21 T-mount, Series 21 extension, but a Series 40 rudder. So I had to cut down and shave the rudder to be able to fit in that block. So if you look here, this will give you an understanding, a perspective of what has to go down. So you see the width of the blade here. It's the same on the front side. So the difference, this here is a Series 40 knuckle, okay? And this is a Series 21 knuckle. So this is the difference. You can't put the blade in that knuckle. So one measures, I think, 4.2 mil, and then this blade, I think, is like 6 or 6.5 mil, something like that. So what I ended up having to do on this one is I basically, where it goes into this area, I shaved down the actual rudder only at the mount. Now, you may ask yourself, why aren't you just running a Series 21 rudder? I bought two for this boat, and both bent on the first day I ran them. So the Series 40 blade on the Cheetah does really, really well. And the Series 21 mount is perfect for the size of the back of the hull. So that's why I'm doing that. Now, I cut this too short when I originally got it, so I'm forced to run that. But I like this length as far as here just because it doesn't touch while it's on the, on its stand. But what I think I'm going to do possibly long term is either buy another one of these wedge design blades and cut it the right length this time, or I'm going to try and get this milled down. My only dilemma is I was worried about the cooling. If I were to mill that down, I'm milling really, really close to the cooling tube. So I don't know if I can make that happen. But this extension here is a Chinese extension adapted over to this block. That's why you see all these holes drilled here. The original 2 holes and then the holes that I created in order to make it work beforehand. But as far as I'm concerned, we're going to see if this rudder will work like this. I believe that total is 5 inches and the stock one is 6.5 or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while since I have measured stuff. But so this is how I'm getting these out. So if you look back here, I've gotten these back 2 out. They're laying right here. So I'm putting the screw in as far down as I can get it. Then I take this, give it a little snug, and then we'll get something here. We'll slip over it, and we'll pry. Okay, let's do something. This is what I used last time. Seemed to work good. So we'll stress it a little bit on one angle, like so, and you can see it popping. See how it popped that right there? See the stress crack? So now we're going to bend it. Let's see here. I'll bend it and we'll go this way with it. It's stress cracking that way. It's coming up. Come on, baby. All right, we'll lift it and go this way with it. Ah, there we are. Yeah. It's good because it only brings up the glue. So that was what they originally did. They cut a little circular piece of carbon fiber and they glued that on. They waited for it to set and then they set it on there. I think they had it mounted to the tray. And then they put epoxy on them, set the tray down. And all of these broke. All of them. Twice. And the only thing that actually held it down, epoxy wouldn't hold. But the Gorilla Glue did. So you just saw how good the Gorilla Glue was. And you multiply that by 6. And it did a really good job holding both ESCs down and both batteries down in multiple crashes. All right, well, I'm gonna keep working at this. So this marks about day 3, maybe day 4 of working on the Cheetah, and I'm kind of just hopping in here to give you a little preview. Fixing to go on vacation, so I just did a couple things because I got to let it dry while I'm gone. As you can see, we got both of the X8s mounted. I've got my little wire extensions here, since these are 6 mil buttons and these are, you know, 6.5 mils. So got the wires there, and then they're basically heavy duty Velcro down. Gives me a nice little journey here. And then I was mocking out the cooling, and I've got this hose here, and then I've also got some black hose, and I'm gonna do a mixture of the black and the blue since I don't have enough black. I think it'll actually look pretty cool once I'm all done with it. I had to swap out these through hole fittings because these wouldn't fit the larger diameter cooling tube. So what I opted to do, I just had these in my stock. So I went ahead and knocked the other ones out and I put these there. I did have an issue in the past where the big loop of cable during a crash had bent down and went to a prop. So by going to these, it should shorten the distance of these tubes, which I can use a cooling tube like this long instead of needing one that is, you know, super duper long, because you would have to go from here all the way through, all the way up to the motor. So you're going to need a good 12 to 14 inches of cooling hose there. This way I can run a nice little 6-inch piece here, and then I can have another piece adapt to the inside here. And then what I'm probably going to do, the way I had kind of spec'd it out, is we're going to go straight from the rudder through here into this motor, and then we'll go out of the motor here and we'll run a cooling line. It's going to run around here like so. It's going to loop over and it'll plug into a 90-degree fitting here into the side of this ESC, and then we'll run it out of the ESC over here to this discharge port. That's what my original thought process was. So basically, like, this little piece here would go to that. I've got 90-degree fittings on this X8s, but I went ahead and ordered some 90-degree fittings for this one. So we're waiting on a couple little small intricate pieces, and then we can finish putting this back together. So once I get those in, then we'll wrap up the video. Well, we just got back from vacation, and as you can tell, everything has changed. So it is, it's been a few days. I'm gonna go ahead now and we will start opening this up. And I will show you what we finished at. Okay, let's turn some light on. All right, so I got all my parts and pieces in here right now. But as you can tell, that's all done. The rudder's there. So now what I have to do is, before I left on vacation, I ordered a bracket for the servo. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mount the servo bracket somewhere in this area and try to keep it the same distance that it was to where I can use the same push rod. But so far it's turning out pretty good. These are some of what I ordered. ABC props are so hard to find. These are going to be some of my favorites. I personally like 1.5 pitch, and these are the ones that are 38 bar. So we've got a 1915, 1615, and a 1617. So these two will be rigger props, and then that will be a monohull prop. Here is our servo thing. Go ahead and get this all taken apart and put it together, and we'll mock it up and glue it on. Now that I have the servo mount kind of all built, what I'm trying to do now is figure out exactly where to put it. So this is the original push rod that we have here, and I switched over from a plastic arm to the aluminum arm. It's hard doing all this with one hand, but basically it's going to sit something like this. I haven't decided if I want to keep it in the middle or move it to the side. I think keeping it in the middle is my best option. But now what we have to do, we've got a small, tiny little hole in this thing. I don't know why they made it so small, but we've got to put this piece on there. But the first thing we have to do is drill this out. I think this is a 3 mil rod, and this is only drilled to 2.5. So I have to open this hole up with the drill bit. All right, so it is basically all done. All we have to do is glue it down. So we figured out that spot is going to be it. So I need to mark it with a marker, and then that is my setup for this. And then had to do a little kinky bend there, and we drilled that out to be the right size. So now we're good. I really do wish my rudder was a little longer. I may have to order a new blade. But what we're gonna do is we'll loosen this lock nut off the end of it here. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a small amount of chopped carbon fiber to help it grip. And then we're gonna use some G-Flex, and we're gonna go ahead and glue that servo down. And then maybe in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I can come back and continue doing the rest of this. So we got the servo out. What I decided to do is take my razor knife and really scar some scars in the bottom of that, because we're going to be putting epoxy on it. And then I need to do the same here. We're just going to take this, pull this out like so. Cool. Now we're gonna have to clean it with alcohol when we're done. Make sure it's completely dry. This is just a layer of carbon Kevlar in there anyways. It's not the actual body. Okay. I might scuff that just a little with some 120 grit. Yeah, okay. Cool. Now we get to get a paper towel and clean this. All right, I gotta go get some cleaning supplies. Cool. Next step is to clean it, let it dry, and then glue it. All right, it is now the next day, and we are pretty much wrapped up with this thing. I did something different, something I think is pretty cool with the cooling tubes. So we go here, we go through the through hole nipples to a piece of black tubing here. This piece is, I don't know, about 4 inches long. I went ahead and used aluminum tubing to carry it on the length rather than just have all the hose. I had it laying around, so I thought it'd be cool. It's the same inside diameter as the cooling suit tube, and all I did was I've got it pushed in about 2.5 to 3 inches, and then I wedged out the end of this to where it kind of flares out, and then I kind of just spun and pushed this on, and I did the same to this end here. So you can see that's how my cooling system is laid out. So it goes through here, through this motor, fills from the bottom, exits from the top, flows through the shared ESC, and then out the ESC, and it'll discharge on this side. And then the same for this. It's going to flow in out the top into this one, and then out that side. So I went ahead and put 2 little pieces here, glued them down with silicone. That way it kept it at the same level, and it's not on the hull itself. There's a little bit of vibration dampener or whatever. It also raised it up enough to where I get over the servo. I originally wanted to go around the servo, but I thought this actually looked a little cooler, a little bit more neat, a little clean, and it also kept it in line with this piece here. So I think I'm pretty much ready to go. All I got to do, I'm charging batteries now. I have to hook up both of these to the Castle app and make sure that my timing is right, make sure the direction is right and all that stuff. I still have to run my wires and get my receiver. I'm gonna mount that somewhere in the boat. Haven't really figured out where I want to put it, but since it's a carbon boat, you have to have external antenna. So I'm gonna go ahead, we'll take apart the external antenna, get that ran, and then maybe mount this somewhere in this area. Not really sure yet, but we've got the servo, we've got the GPS, and we've got 2 ESCs. We're gonna run this just the same way that we ran the Seaking 180s with just this jumper wire. So I don't think I have to undo any of the power leads, any of the BEC leads that are on the X8s harness. I think I should be good to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish all this up, and then hopefully later today we can take it out. I'll show you all the finished product once it's all done. Cool. I think we've got it pretty much all the way complete. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up and show you. I've got some 3S packs in there right now. Just wanted to check rotation, make sure the receiver and everything was gonna work. Seems to be everything's pretty well legit. I need to order another 6S pack. Not really sure what direction I want to go to, but I do know that this 6200 will fit. So that's a good thing, that will fit. But I don't have 2 of them. I've got 2 53s, but I don't have 2 of these 6200s. I could use these batteries here because I think these are also 6200s. I could run 2 3S packs on one side and then a 6S pack on the other side. I'm not really sure if I want to do that, but that'll probably throw the weight off. But other than that, she is pretty well done. I still need to pull the cables out, grease the cables, but I've got this held on with some pretty heavy duty Velcro. That is all glued on. I've got this so we can run the GNSS on that little piece of Velcro, or we can run the Dynamite GPS. That way we'll have this GPS number and this GPS number to where they'll correlate with one another to see exactly what kind of speeds we can get out of this thing. But so far, let's go ahead and blip the throttle, show you. Yeah, they both spin the right direction. Right now these are just stainless steel 17/16s, and I think I've got a pretty decent gap there. It's about 3/16 of a gap, and then that one's just a smidge under 3/16 of a gap. But yeah, not bad. I went back with outward rotating. I learned that it turns better with outward rotating props. Inward rotating, it doesn't want to turn as easy. But I think this will be good. There's no need to do any sanding or manipulating on the hull. I think we're pretty well ready to rock and roll. Just cruising, boy. She airs out nicely. Put me in a big lake, I think this thing might fly. I haven't even been able to hammer it yet.